Jagrata and Jai Masters. The great truths that our scientists are finding have everything to do with spirituality. I don't know that it'll ever get all the way back to the core, but they've gone a real long way. So, for example, yogis have always taught that behind form is vibrations, energy vibrations of different frequencies. All form is just different vibrations of frequencies. Guess what science says now? Energy is matter and matter is energy. The difference is just a temporary state. That's what Einstein said. The formula E equals mc squared. We peaceniks think of atomic bombs. No, E equals mc squared means that behind all of form is energy. Not just behind it. The source of all form is energy. And it can be turned to energy by breaking up the matter. It turns back to energy. Or by coalescing the energy, it turns into matter. They're just different states. The same as if I have water, I'm a magician. I have water, and I make it solid so I can walk on it. Just blow really cold air across it. Or I have water, I'll make it disappear. Just throw really hot air across. Turns into steam, right? So ice is water, water is ice, steam is ice, steam is water, and the difference is just a temporary state. That's what Einstein said about matter, about your body, about the clouds, the sky, the bricks, the earth. It's just energy vibrating at a certain rate. So if it vibrates slow enough, then the magnetic fields can come into play, and they start to bind around each other, and therefore atoms get created, because electrons are attracted to neutrons, etc., and basically matter gets formed. If you speed up that rate of vibration, it falls apart. That's what they're doing when they shoot protons and neutrons at atoms, and they break apart and start atomic reactions. They're just changing the vibration rate. That's all you're doing when you heat water and turn it into steam. You're saying get hotter. When it gets hotter, the vibrations go faster, and then basically it changes its form. So behind all of form are just vibrations. And what's beautiful is yoga always taught that from thousands of years ago. And now science says this is what's going on. An easy way to look at it is, again, color. There is no color. It's not true that this shirt is blue or red. It's not. It has no color at all. Light has color. The light spectrum has color. Because light bounces off the atoms that make up your shirt or make up your face or make up your hair, different molecular structures and how dense they are reflect and refract different vibrations of light. Only light has color. So if it reflects the vibration of light that's blue, or that your eyes see as blue, and that light comes back and hits your eyes, you say what you're looking at is blue. No, it's not true. First of all, you're not even looking at anything. Sorry. You've never looked at anything. You think you're looking... How many of you... Don't raise your hands. How many of you think you're looking out through your eyes? You're not looking out through your eyes. Light is bouncing off of atoms because it can't pass through if they're dense enough. Air, it can pass through. So you don't see air. It's there just like anything else. Same atoms, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, right? But they're not bound together tight enough. So light goes right through them, photons go right through them. But if it hits your nose and your shirt and this and that, it can't make it through there. It's too dense. So therefore it's reflected back. That's what your eyes see. You don't look through your eyes. That light comes in through your eyes, which are sensors, just like a computer has sensors, auditory, visual. It comes in. They're light-sensitive receptors on your eyes. It then goes to your nervous system and gets passed up your nerves. What does? The vibrations that came in through your eyes. And then it manifests in your mind. And you see it in there. Right now, you are looking at me in there. You are not looking outside. And I can prove it. I can prove that all that's happening is that light is bouncing off and you're seeing it. You want to prove it? Turn off the lights. You think because you turn off the lights, you can't see anything. No, you never can see anything except that light, close your eyes. Everything's still going on. It's just not hitting your receptors. Therefore, it's not coming up through the nerves, making it to the brain, and then this is as far as science goes. They think the brain is the mind. The brain is not the mind. That's like saying, I have a CPU computer system, and all the input and output comes in through the CPU, and it does all this, and it renders all that, and therefore that's who's looking at itself. No, you're looking at that. Your consciousness is looking at what's on the screen and hearing what's there, right? Same thing inside. Your consciousness is receiving the messages that are being sent back through your five senses. And it renders in this thing called mind. And that's what I want to talk about. All right, so now we've all said it's vibration. So we talked about the light spectrum. Go study the light spectrum. First of all, it's not a light spectrum. It's called the electromagnetic light spectrum. And it has frequencies. And one frequency, well, first of all, let's start this way. The electromagnetic light spectrum that we now have figured out, because we have instruments that can go beyond our senses, is enormous. All right? The sensory part of that spectrum that you pick up is this big. Okay? And within that, depending on the frequencies, there's blue, red, Roy G. Biv. Who's ever remembers that from high school? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Did I get close? All right? That's what they taught you. It's spiritual. They're just telling you that within the spectrum that your eyes can pick up, infrared, ultraviolet, they're way behind you. You don't pick them up, okay? But within that spectrum, there are vibration rates in that tiny spectrum. It vibrates all the way from Roy G. Biv, from red to violet. Okay? Then it gets ultraviolet, but you don't see that. Okay? And it gets infrared, you don't see that. Isn't that neat? All right? Understand what they're teaching you. They're teaching you it isn't the way you see it is or you think it is. So when those vibrations of that spectrum are received by your senses, they get sent back, and you, the consciousness, the indwelling being, experiences it. Like you are literally, wow. Nowadays, I think it's so beautiful what we can do. Do you all know what digitizing means? I don't care what generation you are, right? You listen to digital music, digital TV, digital everything. What does that mean? It used to be analog. Now it's digital. It used to be that the vibration rates of sound and light and all that, you had to send those to Europe and to here, wherever it is. No more. Now they have what's called the digitizer. They take those frequencies and they turn them into numbers. Why? The frequency can be missed. You know, it's pretty exact. How discrete can you be? If you turn it into a number, and you have a machine that says, oh, this is number 432, and just numbers it, and then the other machine knows how to de-encode the numbers, you don't get any errors. What do you think your nervous system is doing? What do you think your senses are doing? I am not literally taking you, because you're very big, and passing you through my eyeball, but yet I see you. That means that that light that it picked up, with all of its discreteness, it's not digitized, it's encoded by the sensors and then passed up the wires of the nervous system and then de-encoded by the mind. And so I literally see you exactly. That is far out, isn't it? Okay? The whole purpose of this is not physics lesson, okay? But you should get it anyways, right? It's just so we know where we're going. It's about vibrations. Okay? So those are vibrations. There it goes, all right? So it comes back and it renders in your mind. It does not stop with your brain. Most of the scientists, and I love them, bless them, think that's it. It gets to your brain, and very, very complicated neural pathways are what consciousness is. That it comes back to the brain, and it's really the brain is looking at the brain when it receives these messages. It's not true. If you meditate, you understand it's not true. If you go anywhere inside, you know it's not true. All right? You are in there, and you are looking at what's being rendered. And you can do things with it. You can push it away. You can cling to it, can't you? When it gets in there as thoughts. So what? Okay, do it. So that's what physical form is. Physical form is not physical. There's nothing physical, period. There's no solidity. All right, what if I say that to you? Will you accept that? There's no solidity. You are not standing on anything solid. Your body's not solid. The floor is not solid. The earth is not solid. There's absolutely no solidity in any shape or form anywhere. Then why does it seem solid? Why, when I jump up in the air and land on the floor, do I not fall into outer space? To go through the entire planet and just fall out into space. You ready? We said it was made of atoms, didn't we? Every single thing is made of atoms, different types of atoms. Every single atom has electrons, not in orbits, it's not like that, but they're popping up around the outer shells of the atom. So therefore, it's all negatively charged. So you've got negative all around the outside of every single atom. Every single atom has electrons, which are negative. Well, what do two negative ends of a magnet do when you put them near each other? They repel. That's why you don't fall through the floor. You don't fall through the floor because it's made up of atoms bound together, and negative polarity is coming off of them, and your foot is negative, and your whole body is negative, the outside, and you put those two poles together. Have you ever tried to push strong magnets together? It feels solid, doesn't it? That's what you're feeling. Well, okay, so two negatives go together. Who wins? So if I fall from a 15-story building and land on my feet, do I fall through? No, you break to pieces. Your bones break. Why? Why doesn't the earth break? Because those atoms are bound together with their bonds, the bonds that hold atoms together to make molecules, stronger than the bonds that hold together your bones. And that's all that's going on. It's not far out. Well, how come if I jump up and down and then it passes down to the earth, why doesn't it go out of orbit? You should be able to just do that, right? Just go, goodbye. I pushed it down. Why? Because the balance of gravity of the sun and the earth and centrifugal force of the earth spinning are stronger than how strong you jumped on that planet. That's all that's happening everywhere. Okay? And that's true. I used to teach this back in Santa Fe, but I taught in 1973 or something. And I would get to this point, and I love my favorite part, right? So that means your body is made of negative electrons, right? And everybody else is made of that, right? Which means that your boyfriend or girlfriend has never ever touched you. In fact, they find you rather repulsive. That's all that's happening. Well, why does it feel good? Because it repels, it pushes against the skin, which is negative, and it touches the nerves, which are receptive. And so it's not anything like you think it is it? Not even close. Okay, so now I've done the entire physical plane is nothing. And Einstein told you that, and he proved it over and over again. And all of physics understands it. There is nothing out there but energy. But what a dance God created. Why? Because that energy bonds together, because it's moving slowly and it makes atoms, it makes form. Your eyeballs are made of the same energy that receives. Flies don't see what you see. Spiders don't see what you see. And so it's just because your eyeballs happen to be bound together by atoms in such a way that when consciousness receives the message that comes in, it looks like this. Why is it spiritual? How can you have a problem? We'll discuss how you do in a minute. But how can you have a problem? There's nothing out there. When was the last time you stood before a periodic table and got upset? I keep a periodic table. Someone gave me a gift for Christmas. I have a nice-sized periodic table, and I keep it against the wall of my study, right? I love it to pieces. Do you know how much that teaches you? There aren't that many elements. I think there's something like 96 natural elements and a total of 108, something like that, right? But that's not a lot. That means how many different types of atoms are there, as far as we know, in the whole universe. We have never found anything except these, even though we visited other planets and so on. We just found different amounts of these. So there's 96 of these, and there's 700 billion trillion of each. Which ones do you like? Which ones turn you on? Now I'm going to get very bad with you. Careful, close your ears. Show me the gender of which of those atoms. Which are male and which are female. Which are old and which are young. Which are good and which are bad. Which are right and which are wrong. There's nothing like that. Do you understand that? We'll get why it seems like there is in a minute. There's just atoms bonding together, okay? And that's all that's going on. So basically, it says to you when you look at the periodic table is, what are you angsty about? What are you upset about? What is wrong? Because there's nothing wrong. There's nothing happening. There's just a bunch of atoms bonding together based on the laws of physics. And part of those atoms make up your eyeballs and your eardrums, and so you can see and hear good. Blessing. Isn't that wonderful? You can hear those vibrations. But there's nothing going on there. And science has gone down way below the atom. They should understand that. That's what quantum physics is. We said the atom was made of electron, neutron, and protons. No, the atom may be made of electron, neutron, and protons. What are electron, neutron, and protons made of? It's not hard. You don't have to get down there to quantum physics. That's very, very hard. But to get the basic understanding of what they mean by quantum physics is very, very easy. It's just like electrons, neutrons, and protons. What are they made of? When they broke them, we now have built cyclotrons 27 miles long, right, over in Switzerland. CERN, a Large Hadron Collider, the LHC. And they take protons and they spin them around, or neutrons, so fast around this circuit that when they hit each other, they break. And for a billionth of a trillionth of a second, they can see what they're made of. And then they pull themselves back together. And they have found out that electrons, neutrons, and protons are made out of subatomic particles. That's what they're called. Quarks, leptons, and bosons. Well, that's really funny. What do they mean? Nothing. They're names they made up. They mean nothing. Like, I won't remember them, so I shouldn't even embarrass myself. But they named the quarks. There are like 8 quarks. One is called high, low, charm, strange. Those are their names. That's all 14 charm quarks. Anyways, net result is they broke into those pieces, and when they studied those pieces, what do they find out? They're just energy. They're not things. They're just energy. The properties of an energy wave popped out as a quark. And when it pops out, it interacts with others that popped out. And all of a sudden it makes a proton. For example, a proton. 2 up quarks and a down quark make a proton. 2 down quarks and an up quark make a neutron. So these things are popping out of an energy field and then interacting with each other because it made an energetic property. That's all that's happening. There's nothing here. There's just a quantum field of energy, which they say is omnipresent. I checked it again because I used those quote in the last talk. Quantum physics says that quantum field underneath is omnipresent. It's everywhere in the entire universe, all galaxies, everything pops out of those nothings. Oh, it sounds a little bit like manifest and unmanifest. Brahma's unmanifest. Wow, far out. Okay, so there's your physical plane. It doesn't exist. I hope you're having fun with it. There it is. Didn't it far out? The physics says so. Wow, I told you. Your physicists are your priests. If I told you this stuff from the Upanishads, which it was written in, by the way, thousands of years ago, okay, you memorize that. Now you understand. You can comprehend how it can be like that, can't you? All right? So there it is. Now, those are all just vibrations of energy. Higher, lower, just like ice, water, steam, are all made of atoms, just vibrating different rays. Colors, different rays of vibration. It's all about vibrations. Just like in the 60s, you get good vibes. I got bad vibes. Did you go in that place? Oh my God, I got really bad vibes. Okay? You did. You did. Because there are physical vibrations, and then there are higher level vibrations. What does that mean? It's not mystical. That's ridiculous. At one point, we had instruments that could pick up a certain wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum. Now we go way past that. Into infrared and ultraviolet and all, right? Way past. We have instruments that can pick it up. Does that mean we redefine the physical plane? No. They're not weird. They don't say they're mystical. Oh my God, there's a thing called ultraviolet. It's mystical. Where did it come from? It's God's vibration, right? It's just a higher or lower vibration rate than what your senses can pick up, and then we developed instruments that could pick up what your senses can't, and now, believe me, they'll keep expanding them. And someday, they will get to your aura. Someday they will get to that there's an energy body, meaning vibrations that come off of you depending upon what your mind is thinking, depending on what you're feeling. And you know there is. You know if you walk into a house, someone's been arguing, you know it doesn't feel right. You understand that? If you're talking on the phone to somebody, and they're saying, yeah, I still love you. I just haven't, you can feel it's not. Can you talk on the phone to somebody and feel what's really going on? Yes or no? All right, but you got to be open. Otherwise, let's talk about the psychic stuff. To me, there's no psychic stuff. There's just vibrations. All right? If you are busy picking up you can't pick up anybody else. That's all. So if you're in there busy, I don't like what she said, I don't know this thing, I'm going to feel what she's doing. No, you won't. You'll feel what you're doing and project it onto her. Is it possible to be open enough to where you're not concentrating on your stuff, and you can pick up somebody else's? Yes, of course it is. Psychics, which doesn't make them spiritual. Don't do that. Like, there are people that have tremendous powers, psychic powers, that are not very nice and do terrible things with them. So don't equate the fact that somebody can pick up your vibration or read your thoughts or bend a spoon. Oh, let's follow him. He can bend a spoon, psychokinesis. By the time I'm done, you'll understand there's nothing to it. And don't even bother doing it. Okay? So now we have vibrations. The whole physical plane is vibrations. Just as there are these edge vibrations that your senses can't pick up, but science can, instruments can, there are higher vibrations than that. And that is what your thoughts are. And that is what your emotions are. They're not weird, and they're not yours. Everybody else's emotions are interacting with yours all the time. But your consciousness only focuses on that. What do you mean? We're going to go out to the field, And there's all kinds of things. There's grass and there's things and there's clouds and there's trees and there's wind or so on. But there's also a rattlesnake 3 feet away from you. Guess what? That's all you see. Isn't it? That's all you see. You don't see anything. Somebody says later, what was out there? A rattlesnake. No, that was one little thing that was out there. But can you get so fixated on your consciousness focusing on that one thing that there's nothing else? That's what you're doing with your emotions. That's what you're doing with your thoughts. And it's embarrassing, but let's be honest, you only care about your thoughts. Everybody else's are right there. Just like the whole field is there, not just the rattlesnake, but you are concentrating on your thoughts so much that you don't see anybody else's. So your thoughts and your emotions are just a higher vibration rate of energy. It's not weird. There's a thing called Curlian photography that I used to know something about in the 70s. It was developed in Russia. They've developed photography that can start to take pictures of an aura. And science has probably done much more than that by now. That was a long time ago. All right? And eventually they'll be able to do it. I'm old. I'm really glad I'm old. Because someday they will be able to have a machine that reads your thoughts. And they'll make laws about them. Won't they? Help. Okay? Let's hope it's a long time away, all right? And let's hope the laws they make is you're not allowed to do it. But if they do, someone will be doing it anyways. So basically, that's what I want to talk about, is it's all vibrations. It's just vibration of energy. What is a thought? A vibration of energy. It's just a vibration of energy. Can your thoughts be high and low? Can you have high thoughts, elevating thoughts that lift you up? Can you have really depressed, down thoughts that just to have them brings your energy level down? Because you're just dancing with energy. Everything's just dancing with energy. Then what the yogis focus on is not even that. That's why the great masters aren't into psychic powers in any way, shape, or form. Why? The question is, who is experiencing the energy? I don't care what your thoughts are. I love you to pieces. That's why I don't care what your thoughts are. But you know what I'm saying? I have terrible thoughts. I don't care. I have wonderful thoughts. If I have these wonderful thoughts, I feel so wonderful. I don't care. I care about who's experiencing the thoughts. Somebody is, aren't they? Somebody is aware. In fact, if you came to me and said, you don't understand, I'm having these terrible thoughts. Ever since such and such happened, then my wife left me, or this happened and my child died, I just have these terrible thoughts and these terrible dreams. I'm going to listen for a few minutes, and I'm going to ask you, how do you know? What do you mean, how do I know? How do you know that you're having those thoughts? I don't know you're having those thoughts. She don't know you're having those thoughts. How do you know you're having those thoughts? And eventually you yell at me really, really mad, because I'm in here and I see them and I hear them. Who is in there? That's spiritual. That's the only thing that's spiritual. You understand that? The great ones will teach you that. Yes, there are vibrations that are higher than others. So what? That just means your consciousness is focusing on something higher. Who are you? Who are you that's experiencing the thought? Who are you that's experiencing the emotion? Oh, I felt such love. I felt such tremendous love. Who did? How do you know you felt love? How do you know you felt love until he or she said something you don't like, and then you got really pissed off? How do you know? Is it the same you who felt the love and then felt the anger and the resentment and disappointment? It's the same you. There's only one of you in there. Were you in there yesterday? Were you in there yesterday? You in there who's watching your thoughts and feeling your emotions? Were you in there 5 days ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago? Were you in there? You were not having the same thoughts. You're not having the same emotions. But it's the same dude or dudess in there experiencing them. There is just one consciousness. That's what yoga is based on. Real yogas, not based on the quality of your thoughts or the quality of your emotions or what you look like or what clothes you wear or what you eat. It's who's in there aware of this. Somebody once asked Yogananda, fully enlightened master, I want to know God. Master, I want to know God. He just turned on nonchalantly and said, He dwells right behind your every thought. What dwells right behind your every thought? You who experienced the thought. If you weren't there, you don't know you had the thought. So you are there behind every thought. You are there behind every emotion. You are there being aware that you're depressed. You are not depressed. You are looking at something that's depressed. You've never been depressed. No one's ever been depressed. But what you're looking at can be pretty tough, right? And the fact is, just like you get caught staring at only your thoughts, you get caught staring at your emotions. You get caught staring at the state of your heart. You get caught staring at what your thoughts are. Is it caught staring, or are you completely addicted and you can't get out? You are more addicted to your thoughts and your emotions than a drug addict is to heroin. Why? That's the reason they do heroin. Because they can't handle their thoughts and emotions. If you are filled with love and having a great time and enthused, you are not shooting up or smoking dope or drinking. Why? It brings you down. But if you're really depressed and you're having a really tough time and you can't handle what's going on inside of you, you try to drown it out with drugs or drinking or crazy living. Or, in other words, you need to be distracted from yourself. Fair enough. We're having a deep talk, but it's all about vibrations. You are just experiencing the different vibrations that you're focusing on. Like I said, it can go from love to hate and back to love in a sneeze. I told you. You're filled with love. Oh my God, you're hugging your beloved. It's the most beautiful moment. You're melting inside. It's so beautiful. And generally your eyes are closed because it pulls you inside. But you open your eyes and his cell phone is behind your back. He's looking at his email. How you doing? You good with that? I don't think so. It changes real quick, doesn't it? The love stops right away. Why? It's just atoms. What are you doing? You were feeling this beautiful love, and you decided not to feel it because of some particular way that atoms were? No, not me. I ain't doing that. Anybody listening? This is what it means to get out of your personal way of thinking and bring truth into the party. What the heck do I care that you're having fun? Look at your cell phone. I'm in bliss and ecstasy and love. You lose, Betty. I mean, we may not go out again, but as for right now, fine. Look at your cell phone. Okay? But you can't do that. Why? Because you're addicted to your ego mind. Because you have developed within your mind a vibration rate of thoughts that are there almost all the time. They vary a little bit, but pretty much they're there, thinking, I want people to like me. I like to be this. I like to feel that. I like this color. I don't like that color. I like when people talk to me this way. I don't like that kind of thing. That's my friend. That's my enemy. You've got this whole conceptual, that's a word. There's nothing wrong with your mind. Your mind is brilliant. The science has mind developed all that stuff. There were animals on this planet long before we got here, but they did not build rocket ships or fly to the moon. You dug up metals and things, and you took silicon and made it into a thinking chip. Who did that? Your mind. Your brilliant mind. You have a brilliant mind. Even you, not just Einstein. I always say, no, my mind's not so brilliant. Okay, we'll have a possum take an SAT test, and we'll see who does better. Or a chimpanzee. Or a dolphin. You have a brilliant mind, period. And the more brilliant minds build these rocket ships and flew to the moon, do all kinds of things. That's a vibration. That's a very high vibration of mind. That's phenomenal. It's very close to God. We'll talk about that in a moment. Okay? The mind can do anything. Can the mind go anywhere? Microsoft used to say that. Where do you want to go today? Go to Mars right now. See a galaxy. Go there. Your mind can go anything. It has no physical limitations. But it has psychological limitations. Who put them there? You did. You said, I'm a girl of this age and people should treat me this way and not that way. And I'm not into male chauvinism. Don't you dare open that door for me. Can't open my own door. You just created a set of thoughts that you're locked in. They are your self-concept, your personality. And that means you're stuck in you. Who is? Consciousness. Consciousness is addicted to staring at you. Your consciousness, not his consciousness, his stares at him. Okay? And so that's what's going on in there. But they're just vibrations. They're low vibrations and high vibrations of thoughts and of emotions. Some of them are nice, some of them are not. Some of them feel good. So what? You're the one who feels it. If you say, oh, that felt good. Did it feel good to everybody? No. I'll tell you what. I'm going to take somebody who you love with all your heart and everything like that, and have them come up, put their arm around you, and give you a nice hug. Okay? How's that feel? Oh, that's good vibes. Now I'm going to take somebody that you have hated since kindergarten, right? You can't even stand them, and all of a sudden the person walks up to you, puts their arms around you, hugs you. How you doing? It's the same hug. Your psyche can't handle some and can handle others. So basically, there are all these vibrations. That's how I want you to see it. All the way from form, all the way up through emotions, all the way up through thoughts, are just different vibration rates of the same energy. God. It's all one. It's all the same energy vibrating in different rates. Just like music has different vibration rates, and it sure can sound different, can it? But it's the same A, B, C, D. Right? A few octaves and some sharps and flats. Boy, it can sound different. This whole thing can feel very different to you inside. But what spirituality is about is only one thing ever, is consciousness. But that's not what this world's about. Very rarely, really, does this world. You went to school, how much did they teach you about consciousness? So now we have a basis point for talking about spirituality. It's all vibrations. So now let's talk about the relationship with those vibrations. If I'm in a room where there's crystals, and I hit a tuning fork, and the pitch is too high, what happens to the crystals? They break. Why? Because the pitch of that vibration, pitch is a vibration. Sound, light, they're all vibrations. The pitch of that vibration is higher in frequency than what that glass can vibrate at. For a while it can vibrate. You hear it goes, right? You got it? It's all vibrations. It's just vibration interacting with vibration, interacting with vibration. That's what your relationships are. That's what every single thing is. So if the mind can if the thoughts, not mine, if the thoughts are inside of mind. What is mind? I can't believe I'm trying to talk to you about this stuff. All right? We just said there was a quantum field. They see it as a physical. They say it's everywhere, but they're talking physical. Look at the physical world, all right? But look at all the forms it can take. Look at every single thing it is. So all a form exists within a field of energy, what they call the quantum field. Clouds, outer space, every single thing. There is a thing called the mental plane. Not mystical now. What is the mental plane? A vibration rate of energy that is higher than the physical plane, but not as high as consciousness, emptiness, the total oneness. So it's just a field of vibration rate of energy. That's what the mind is. Well, what are thoughts? That which forms within the mind. Just like the quantum field is here, but so are you, and so is that. Okay? So that field of energy can vibrate at all those different frequencies. If it's slower, it coalesces lower, higher, and those are what your thoughts are. That's all your thoughts are. Different vibration rates of energy. But you, the consciousness, are the most powerful thing in the universe. When the Bible says, Old Testament, man was created in the image of God. Well, God's pretty powerful stuff, isn't it? All right, so are you. Okay? When Christ said, my Father and I are one, what does that mean? It means me who is in here is one with God. But that was just Christ. No, he didn't say that. He said, as I sit by the throne of my Father, it's a state of consciousness. As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things which I do shall do these and even greater things. Just check it out. He said that. And by the way, when he was talking about you in there, who are you? He said the kingdom is within you. That's what we're talking about. You, the consciousness, who's behind the thought, watching the thought. You're the highest thing over the face of the earth. You are where Buddha went. You are where Christ went. That is what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is self-realization, God-realization. In other words, you realized who you are in there. And you're going to find out that you have nothing to do with this body. You have nothing to do with these thoughts. You have nothing to do with these emotions. They are just something you're staring at. If a light shines on an object, what is the relationship between the light and the object? Nothing. The light illumines the object, but if the object goes away, the light's still there. If the object gets broken, is the light broken? If the object gets old, did the light get old? If the object gets sick, did the light get sick? If the light moves off the object after 1,000 years of totally focused on the object, do you think the light cares? The light did not change one single iota. There's no pattern that stayed with it. No samskaras, no karma, no anything. If whatever it's shining on did all kinds of bad things, and so the light is shining on that, it feels like it has karma. It feels like it has all kinds of things that have to be made up, and you got problems, and you're terrible, right? Well, you can do that, try to work it out, or just move the light off of that. Now what? What karma does the light have? None. And that's what the great teachings are. The great masters taught at the moment of enlightenment, all karmic seeds are burned. They can't sprout. They have no meaning. That's why. Because what enlightenment means is you return to the source of consciousness. So you're not any longer looking at this thing that's got all these problems and issues and desires and fears and karma and all that kind of junk. That's who you are. You are the light of consciousness. What's its vibration? It's so funny. Two great masters, Meher Baba and Muktananda, wrote a book called The Everything and the Nothing. What is the vibration of consciousness? I just told you. That's where all the vibrations came from. That's the core primary vibration. All the rest, when it slowed down, became form and thoughts. It's the highest vibration. Oneness. That's all there is that. in which case there's no differentiation, there's no duality, so there's no vibration. So it's everything and nothing. That's what God is, everything and nothing. Just try to imagine, it all comes from consciousness. Consciousness is one, it's everything, it's the beginning. Someone once asked Meher Baba, fully enlightened master, who are you? Because they know you can feel his energy. You can feel the master when you're around him, or her. Okay? Who are you? I love what he said. I was in the beginning, before all else was created. I will be in the end after all else falls away. There was never a time I was not. There will never be a time I will not be. That's an enlightened being. Don't hang out with people who say, oh, but I had this experience. I saw Buddha and Christ walking together 4 years ago. And I've talked about it ever since. Well, you're not enlightened. I'm glad you had that experience. That's very nice. But guess who saw that experience? I told you this once. If Christ and Buddha and Krishna in glows of angels playing trumpets came down together, you who saw it is higher than what you saw. Of what meaning is that vision if nobody sees it? Nothing. Of what meaning is consciousness if it's not seeing that? Everything. You're a conscious being. You're the one who experiences everything. You're the highest thing that ever was. That's Muktananda Baba. Meditate on the self. Honor and worship your own being. For God dwells within you as you. That's what all the great mantras, Soham, Aham Brahmasmi, I am He, I am Brahma, I am Shiva, Shivoham. All the great ones, those are the highest mantras that can be used, where you're in there affirming who you are. You're not a girl or a boy or somebody who believes this and doesn't believe that. It's fine, yes, you can shine on that kind of an object, but you're the one who's shining on it. You're the consciousness. So we were talking about vibrations. I skipped ahead really fast, okay? Consciousness is the highest vibration there is. It is both manifest and unmanifest. What do you mean? The quantum field is unmanifest, but all the manifestation came out of it, but just because it isn't manifest, it's still unmanifest. Does anybody understand, or am I getting weird on you? All right? If you want to get it right, watch this. I used to do this. I have water in my hand. Now, don't answer too quick. It's a multiple choice question. So you make sure you get all your choices, right? A, I have water in my hand. B, I have H2O molecules in my hand. C, I have hydrogen and oxygen atoms in my hand. D, I have electron, neutron, and protons in my hand. E, I have quarks, leptons, and bosons in my hand. F, I have the unmanifest quantum field before it made anything in my hand, which is right. So it is both manifest and unmanifest at the same time. That in the Upanishads and the great writings of the ancient yogic philosophies, that's the highest concept that's ever taught. And if you don't have the science behind it that you guys are lucky to have, how do you comprehend that? They just memorize it. Brahma is manifest and unmanifest at the same time. How do they know that? How could that be written thousands of years ago? That's all made of energy. Einstein was the first person who said that. All the great masters said it's just energy, it's just light. It's just all made of light and beyond. There's a story of Ramakrishna. These guys were so high, there's nothing to talk about. When he sat down, he was a great yogi, and he was having great experiences his whole life, very filled with bliss and ecstasy. And this very great non-dualist showed up, very respected throughout the entire community. Todapuri, I remember his name, looked at Ramakrishna. He said, "Who are you? You got a different glow than other people around here." He walked up to me. He said, "Would you like?" And Ramakrishna said, he said, "What do you experience in meditation?" He said, "I experience light. I experience the Divine Mother. I go into ecstasy whenever I meditate. I can't even come out. It's very high." He said, "Would you like to go beyond that?" It's called nirvikalpa. Sabhikalpa samadhi is with form. Nirvikalpa is going past that into the formless. Now you understand what formless means. That before it popped out and started making things. And that includes thoughts and emotions, not just the physical plane. Imagine going beyond all form, not just physical form, to where there's just, that's why the Buddhists talk about emptiness. You've heard that, haven't you? The empty bell. There's the emptiness. It is what manifested into form. And he said, "Would you like to go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi?" Which is the highest samadhi. And Rami, he was so cute. He was a worshiper of Kali, okay? And he said, "I have to ask my mother." So he ran down to the temple. He said, "Mommy, can I go play in Nirvikalpa?" All right, something like that. And he came back and said, "Oh, she said I could," right? So that story's literally like that. He was a crazy one. So Todapuri takes him down to this hut in the middle of nowhere, right, at the edge of the ashram. And he says, "Sit down there, and I want you to take your attention and put the point between your eyebrows. You're a very high being. You have a lot of attention. You've been meditating for years. Take all your attention, put the point between your eyebrows, and don't ever take it off." He said, oh, okay. He's like a little boy. He was like a little boy. So he sat down and he started, doing this thing, right? And all of a sudden, Ramakrishna starts going, oh, Ma, oh, Ma, Ma. And he slaps him and says, what are you doing? I told you to put your hand and point between your eyebrows. He said, I did. And then Mother came, there's pure light and ecstasy and love that overflowed my whole being. She blinded me. I couldn't see anything. Not bad, eh? All right? He got yelled at for doing that. He said, I told you, you took your attention off the point between your eyebrows to go to that? And the story is, and Ramakrishna told the story, that Todapuri picked up a piece of glass that was broken on the side of the hut, and he just dug it a little bit into Ramakrishna's third eye. And he said, does that hurt? He said, yeah. He said, don't take your attention off of that. Focus on that. And it happened a couple of times, and all of a sudden, Ramakrishna went bye-bye. Into the nothing. Into the unmanifest. That's how yogi know these things. Why? It's all made of consciousness. So are you. But you're busy looking at form. Whether it be your emotions, those are form. There's form at a very high vibration. Or your thoughts. Those are forms at a very high vibration. And then this form, right? If your consciousness stopped looking at that, it would know who it was. Why? Because it is that all the time. You are all the time consciousness looking at thoughts, emotions, and physical form. How to get off, that's a different issue. We could talk about that. Right? But at least I want you to understand who you are. You're the highest thing ever walked the face of the earth. When Christ said, my Father and I are one, that's you. That is because your consciousness, if a yogi meditates deep enough, few, rare, don't let them all tell you they're enlightened, they're not. All right? But the great ones, the Sadgurus, the great ones, went far enough back to where the only thing they were conscious of was consciousness itself, not an object of consciousness. See the difference? What if the light, instead of shining at something older, something younger, something female, or something male, realized it was light? It was a realized light. It knew, oh my God, I'm the light itself. There. You're conscious of being conscious. That's not even high enough. It's rare to get to that state. Now what? Where did consciousness come from? Now it's conscious of being consciousness. What is the source of consciousness? And that's when they merge. When you find your way back to the source of consciousness, there's nothing. It's unmanifest. And then it goes from electrons and protons to atoms to water. But notice that I love that you can understand it. It is both manifest and water is both manifest and unmanifest at the same time, isn't it? It's not like I was unmanifest and now I became manifest. Is it not electron, neutrons, and protons at the same time there's water? All right? And the quantum field. I always wanted to talk to you at that level. So at least you get conceptually. They always say the mind can't understand God. You got just there close. Right? Not there, but at least conceptually you can understand so something can be manifest and unmanifest at the same time. That's what God is. That's why it's all God. That's why Christ said, not a leaf moves on a tree that God doesn't know it. Not a hair moves on your head, because he is the leaf and he is the hair. There's nothing but God going on. It is just a manifestation of consciousness vibrating at different levels. If you understand that, that is the beginning and end of all yogic philosophy. There is nothing but energy vibrating at different rates, and that includes physical form, which scientists just proved to us, okay, and emotions, just different vibrations of energy, higher, and thoughts, and consciousness is the unmanifest. That's where the vibration came from. I'm not into yoga philosophy. I don't study at that level, right? But I'm into meditation. I don't want to know about it. I want to go there. If you're that, what are you pussing around with this stupid stuff? He said something not nice about me. Oh my God, I used to have more likes on Facebook and now they're gone. And what are you doing? And oh my God, I had a piece of spinach in my teeth all day. Oh my God, who did I smile with anybody? What did they think? Oh, what are you doing? You want to live like that? That's just the divine consciousness being caught in a piece of spinach in a tooth that doesn't exist. It's not even there. There's no spinach. Okay? That's what it means to work on yourself spiritually. And you get down to understand that the consciousness is the source. That's, as I said, how did yogis know it was all light? That it was all made of light back thousands of years ago? Because they returned to the seat of consciousness. And they were the Yogananda, when Yukteswar touched Yogananda, you read it in our biography, there's a chapter called My Experience in Cosmic Consciousness. When he had his first experience, he went out and he said, my body was now the galaxies. I was expanding, my being was expanding at the speed of light in all directions at once. Because that's who you are. You're everything. So are you willing to work your way back? So now we've got vibrations as everything. Now you have a choice. Energy has strength. Lower vibrations have less power. Higher vibrations have more and more power. Okay? Have you noticed that if you're sick, your thoughts are of a lower level? Have you noticed that if you're healthy and you feel vibrant, that the thoughts and the emotions tend to be higher? It doesn't just go in one direction, that if you have bad thoughts, you don't feel good, right? You don't feel good because you're staring at bad thoughts. You're staring at low vibration energies. So maybe the answer isn't figuring out how to not have bad thoughts or how to not have bad emotions. It's how to learn to raise the energy level. If you raise the energy, all right, have you ever been in a bad mood and done hatha yoga and felt better when you got up? Or meditated, or did mantra, or did something? I told you a story. I got some nice friends, okay? This is a very high being I love a great deal. And he's very high. And he used to take me in the early days, and when he wanted to go on vacations, he would want me to go. And I was driving with him in a car, just the two of us, and he had a lot of energy. He's a great yogi. And the energy in the room, in the car, I couldn't even stay awake. It just got so low. I just felt, it was like, oh, I got drained, all right? And I look at him over there, and he's yawning a little bit, right? And that's how strong his energy, you know that, you've got that, how strong his energy was. All of a sudden, he did alternate nostril breathing, all right? Twice. The energy in the car went through the freaking roof. I couldn't even see straight. I couldn't pull myself out of meditation. 2 breaths. Right, that's yoga. Instead of working with this or that or the different vibration of everything else, you work with the energy level that you're working with, and the thoughts change instantaneously. Can't they change? You're in a bad mood, and all of a sudden somebody you love shows up. Boom! You hear me? You don't have to manipulate form to make it be the way you want to be okay. You are in there. You can work with your energy directly. That's what all of yoga is. The asanas do that. They release energies and you can feel more balanced and centered. The chakras are about your energies. The mantras are about moving your mind. What is a mantra? It's not a weird thing. It's about saying, if I put my consciousness on something high, such as God's name, or I can handle this, I can handle this, I can handle this. All right? Imagine if you say, I can't handle this, I can't believe what you said. And there's this mantra going on behind that you trained yourself on the other layer of your mind that says, I can handle this. Now you got to decide who you want to hang out with. The lower energy, the higher. It's your choice. You have the right. And you start working with higher vibrations of energy. Not things that are higher. You have the right to change your vibration rate. You will reach a state, every one of you, if you work with yourselves enough, where you move your hand across your heart, love will come pouring out of that chakra, or any other chakra that you pass your hand across. Shakti comes flying out of those centers. That's who you are. You don't need people to say things or do things or get things or win things or lose things. No, you're a great being of energy. That's who you are. And you can work with higher vibrations of energy by raising your energy. That's what that's all about. That's what I wanted to talk about. You now see it's all vibrations. You are the highest vibration there is. Your consciousness made everything. But the trouble is you're fixated on staring at this lower manifestation of vibration. And then you say, I'm not happy. I don't know why. I never did good in school until I got to college. I did very well after college. But in lower grades, I did not do well. But I loved, like in 5th or 6th grade, I was a terrible student. But I loved dissecting sentences. That's amazing. Look back now. You know, you draw them with an adjective and this. Okay, right? I'm not happy. Let's just take that sentence. It uses the verb to be. You know what the verb to be is? That's a very sacred verb. You have to define who you are. I am not happy. That's who you are. Not happy? No, you are the consciousness of God staring at not happy. But you said, I am not happy. Like affirmation? You all know about affirmation. That's an affirmation. That's who I am. I'm not happy. Well, then you can't be happy because you just said you're not happy. That's not who you are. More right to sit there and say, right now, I'm feeling not happy. Not I am not happy. I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm hungry. Look what you're defining yourself as. A stupid human. You're defining yourself at what you're looking at. Well, how can you ever be free? Have you ever find out who you are? Now you understand why you do spiritual techniques. I don't want you just doing them. He told me to. Maybe I'll be happier. I'm not happy. Maybe I'll be happy. You got it all wrong, right? I am in a state of ecstasy, and I'm stupid enough to stare at something that's not. I hope you hear some of it, all right? In the great yoga teachings, you know what they call the soul, the self? Atman, Satchidananda. You know what they call God? Satchidananda. What is Satchidananda? Eternal conscious ecstasy. That's the nature of your being. You are right now eternal conscious ecstasy. Well, why don't I feel it? Because you're looking away from it. You're looking out at something else. If I stare at a picture, I don't feel anything else. All right? That's how free you can be. We just have to decide, do I want to stare at this vibration of energy that's rather low, or do I want to learn how to not? And that's what spirituality is about, to learn how to not stare at what you're not. But how do I know who I am? You don't, but you know what you're not. Well, if the voice is talking and saying, I should do this, I shouldn't do this, I like this, I don't like that, what should I listen to? Nothing. None of them are you. They're things you're looking at, the things you're listening to. You are not anything your mind says. How could you be? It's just a vibration. You're the one who's experiencing it. You're the highest experiencer they could possibly be. That's what it is. So you work on learning how to not stare at yourself. Not renouncing. You just learn to not stare at yourself. Yukteswar, Yogananda's guru, said the following: an ignored guest quickly leaves. These are like koans. What does that mean? An ignored guest quickly leaves. It means if you don't pay attention to your mind, it's going to stop talking. You're in there thrashing into the stupid thing, and now the water is flying all over the place. Learn, that's what meditation is. Learn to take a step back. Notice that your mind's crazy. Your mind's nuts. Then why stare at it? Why? That's the stupidest place in the world to stare at. But you have to learn how to get it off. And that's where the teachings come in. I will give you the teachings. Like I said, they're in the books. They're everywhere. It's certainly in my books and others also. Here's a clue. If you can't handle this raining out, then you will not be handle anything else. Okay? Because you can't even handle this raining out when you don't want it to. How about practicing being able to handle things? Because if you can handle them, they don't bother you. When was the last time the white lines on the road bothered you? When was the last time a cloud passing by bothered you? It doesn't. Well, everything is that. Your thoughts are that. So just start practicing, accepting, honoring, respecting that things exist. There's a car in front of me driving slower than I want to go. Can you be okay with that? Because if you can't, you're going to focus on it. The person driving 15 miles an hour below the speed limit in front of me is not having a problem with how they're driving. How do I know? I know because that's how they're driving. Understand that? The person who didn't use their blinker, or the one who turned it on 17 blocks before they turned, did not have a problem with that. Didn't they notice click, 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 click for 17 freaking blocks? Or the one I like the most is the one who turns to the left turn lane, and when they're just about ready to turn, they put their blinker on. What good did that do? You're supposed to let people know what you're going to do here, right? So all these things go on. They don't have a problem with it. Why do you? And you start working with yourself. You start sitting there saying, I can handle this. You relax through it. That's what you do. And if you do that, now you've been able to handle vibrations of energy. That's all they are. Vibrations of energy that you weren't able to handle before. Again, when I did my interview with the new book, Living Untethered with Oprah, she picked out the very important line in the book. The moment in front of you is not bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. It's just an event that's happening in the universe. There's billions of them going on. Why did you decide to let that one bother you? Because your mind did that. And now it's bothering you for the rest of the day. You didn't use this blinker. Can't believe you didn't use it. So you start relaxing through this. Just the tiny little ones. Learn to relax. Why? Because then they won't distract your consciousness. And then another one will come, and another, bigger and bigger. And eventually, you will never lose your seat of consciousness, ever. You'll be in there, and you'll notice, oh, look at that thing going on down there. But it won't pull you into it. And then all of a sudden, the energy will start going up instead of down. Now the energy pulls your consciousness down toward it. When you're able to handle things and it doesn't have that influence on you, you're going to find out the energy goes up instead of down. And it starts pulling you inside. You're driving, you're pulled inside. You're watching TV, you're pulled inside. And meditation becomes a spontaneous thing. You can't even stop yourself. You're just always having this upward flow of energy that's lifting you. That's what Christ meant. By man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of God. That's the energy from inside. You're not just living on the outer energy. And it's going to lift you up. And then it goes higher and higher. And eventually it gets higher and higher. And eventually it becomes the meaning of your life. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, all that. Well, you do. It's the most beautiful vibration you'll ever experience. And it pulls you further in. Then your consciousness starts paying attention to that. And now you're on the ascent. And you will go up. It will take you up. You don't have to do anything. All right. We've run out of time. Otherwise, I would just sit here, talk to you for the rest of your life and never let you go back out there. Oh, Jagranath.